This call may be monitored and recorded for quality assurance.
Absolutely. So 069A, so that's usually considered just a component in something that you're doing. What's the sill section look like?
So it's actually, they want to use it as threshold, butting up against an epoxy floor and a wood floor.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you mean by a component? Like a component, like it's a lid, like a top to something?
That 69 is like a shape, and in the Zero catalog, on the page that you'll find it on, there will be other shapes that are generally put together, but you're obviously not using it in that scenario. Now, if it was me, I wouldn't be, I would be mechanically fastening it. You had said weld. What are you going to weld aluminum to?
That's what this is what the architect is calling out. So I want to know like what system they sold it to, because we're all sitting here pondering where they got this idea to weld it instead of just bonding it. What do you guys what do you recommend? That's what I want to go with so that I can submit it to the architect.
What I just said, mechanically fastening it. I'd be using machine screws and lead anchors.
Okay, machine screws, which is more typical. Have you ever heard of why they would want it welded?
Well, that's part of the reason that I wanted to speak to you, because generally that 69, being a component, is indeed welded to other components.
Oh, like
it's a part that you can use to concoct custom shapes when you use multiple different components together. Those are generally welded together, and then that assembly is attached to the floor, typically with mechanical fasteners like machine screws and lead anchors.
So kind of like a raised access floor or something of that nature, correct?
Let's say that you needed a threshold that was 3/4 on one side and 1/4 on the other side, and it was 8 5/8 wide. You could, using the 69A and other components from Zero, take all these pieces, cut them to length, weld it all together, and voila, you've got a custom threshold.
That's what it is. Okay.
Yeah. Right. What you're doing is really, it's just a nosing is all it is.
Right.
Yeah. So
it's not, and I think it's more for coating for fire resistance. I don't think it's anything excessive. So, can I get you? Can you just say what you told me and put it in an email so I have it with your letterhead so I can send it to the architect and ask for more clarification?
Mechanically fastened, meaning machine screws and lead anchors. I would be thrilled to do that. So go ahead.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, reply to my email so it's in my inbox, and I will do that.
Thank you. I really appreciate your help.
You bet. Bye-bye.
Bye.
If you've not hit subscribe yet, we would very much appreciate if you did, and hopefully you're enjoying this video. Now, let's get back to it.
All right, let's talk about this 069. What I was trying to drive home was what this is. And apparently the client's architect is saying that this needs to be welded down to the bed that it's going to be sit in. You know, I don't know if they're going to try to weld this piece of aluminum that's only 1.125 by 1/4, or how they're going to try to attach it. So let's talk about this being a component. Zero calls this a threshold prep shim. Let's look at the product brochure. And as you can see in this document, it's a piece part. It's a component. It is used to fabricate a profile of threshold that you can't otherwise just pull out of a catalog. This is really kind of a shim, but it can also be used as the leading edge of a threshold. In your mind's eye, imagine this 69, which is a 1/4 inch tall. Let's say that we wanted a piece of 1/4 inch threshold that was going to be 9 and 9/16 wide. So you could take this 6710, you could rip it back to 9 and 9/16 minus 1.1 that you're going to use here, and then weld that to it. You could take this component and weld it to this ripped back 10-inch wide fluted 1/4 inch solid item. That's just an example. As you look at all of these components, you can see kind of what they're coming up with in terms of something being a custom threshold built as components. So here is what they're telling you. Order components separately. Okay? And that's 69. It's really, it can be a shim, or it can be the leading edge of a threshold. Now, a shim would basically mean if you are building, let's say that you're going to take just using as an example, you're going to use this component that you would probably see as sill nosing, and you were going to need this to be on the outside of a concrete sill. You're going to run back, let's say the 678, so many inches long in this direction. But what you're going to notice is way out over here, if yet 678 was installed right here, you would need to build it up from the ground with a shim. That 69 could very easily be a shim. So the 69 is either a component that you'll use just on its own, or you might weld it or attach it separately to the one or both sides, in fact, of these 1/4 inch fluted pieces of aluminum. Now, I suggested mechanical fastening. I think that thresholds should be attached to the ground with screws provided. What I like to do in that regard is, let's pull up the Zero catalog, and let's pull up the full line catalog. And MSL. Yeah, MSL-10. I would probably order that 69. I would drill and countersink it for this machine screw lead anchor is probably what I would do. The 223 bolt package is an additional cost, naturally, but it's a very secure way of attaching it. Plus, that 69 is only a total of 1.1 I would want a smaller screw like this number 10 anchor with machine screw, or maybe this lead shield. Plastic anchors I really don't think are what you want to ever use on thresholds, but that's how they're normally packaged. So that part number for your 69A could be 69A by MSLA10, and what they'll do is generally give you one more anchor than the quantity of feet. So if you had a 3-foot threshold or a 3-foot threshold component, you're probably going to see 4 of these anchors. By all means, specify that. Be very clear to the factory with us of what you want to see happen when it arrives, so that there's no confusion as to what you get. Yeah, and then hopefully the client gets clarification from the architect of what they truly are being expected to provide, and if they have any questions, they know they can reach out to us. And the same goes for you. Any questions on any Zero product, please feel free to reach out to us. And again, my name is Rich, Architectural Builders.
Thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please click thumbs up, please subscribe, and maybe even send the video to someone that you know. Thank you.